Unlike some of its competitors, Samsung, LG, Sony isn't used to flooding the market with products. It likes to take its time and come up with just a few handsets each year, one or two budget phones here, a couple of mid-rangers there, and, if it's a new James Bond movie kind of year, a heavy-hitting flagship for enthusiasts. Well, what do you know? Agent 007 is back, and so is Sony with a brand new flagship, the Xperia Z5. At first glance, the Z5 is typical Sony, a logical continuation of the company's long-running Xperia Z line. However, is this really the Sony we've been looking for? Are the values of the company and the characteristic traits of its products alive and well in the Xperia Z5? Is it an example of a thought-out, polished Android smartphone, or is it too little, too late? We've waited long enough for the Z5, and now, it's time to see if Sony really has something to serve that's not already on the table. Camera. The epitome of why specs don't always matter much. Typical Sony, the Xperia Z5 aims to be more than your average smartphone in the camera department. Aside from a strong specs sheet in the form of a 23MP sensor with size of 2.3 inches, the G-Lens camera in the Z5 boasts the fastest autofocus in a smartphone, with speed of just 0.03 seconds. As Sony says, that's faster than the blink of a human eye. As always, Sony's camera application comes with a simple mode, Superior Auto, as well as a manual one that lets the user tweak the white balance and exposure. It's a consumer-centric approach, there's quite a bit of flexibility with it, but nothing extreme like manual focus or shutter speed adjustments. Additionally, there are some more or less alternative modes like time shift video, slow motion, creative effect, camera with filters, and the absurder effect, which can render a range of unsightly 3D scenes over whatever it is that you're photographing. Images from the Xperia Z5's camera are not particularly inspiring. They tend to be markedly noisy, hazy, and generally undefined. Detail level is surprisingly low. Zooming into the image reveals intense digitalization. White balance, meanwhile, tends to be all over the place. More often than not, images will come out slightly colder than in reality, but in other occasions, the camera may also throw too much red in there, depends on the situation. Dynamic scenes are handled quite poorly. When in auto mode, the phones will automatically engage the HDR mode when needed, but even then, not enough is being done to make the scene tolerable, highlights remain overexposed, and shadows stay overly dark.